How are you, Chris?
Hey Dale, doing well. How about yourself?
Happy New Year 26 days later. How are
Oh
you?
man, I'm telling you, it's been a crazy time coming in, hadn't it?
Yeah, so great call on the dollar. You turned bearish near the highs, man.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. The
you want to
dollar
share
was
your
that.
screen? Oh, you're
Yeah, I'm
doing it.
just doing
Yeah.
that right now. Let me see there. Can you see that?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, yeah. The dollar ended up working out really well. Again, we had talked about it turning way back over here in January of 2021.
Yep.
And I was kind of looking at least the 98, probably 100. And then, we had that 114, 115 area target, which we hit. And so we've come down since then. And so I don't, I mean, no matter how you slice it, I don't think it looks like the dollar rallies anytime soon, any like significant rally. I think for right now, we kind of keep an eye on this weekly pivot here. And I think,
Where's that come
as
in?
long as we're below that, I
One,
don't,
what's that? 105?
yeah, right there, right about, let me see here. Yeah, right about 104,
Okay.
104.3, right around there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's just nothing pretty about the chart unless you're, a bearish dollar person.
Right.
so, and I
Yeah.
think as long as that continues to not rally, as long as it continues to stay below that swing high up there, I don't see any reason why, risk assets don't just continue to kind of push upward.
Okay. Yeah. Constructive S&Ps, new highs, Chris. Is that viable to you?
For the S&P and everything, yeah, man, I think so. Let me pull up a chart here. So the way I like to approach this right now is, so we've got this move down from for the Dow, right?
Yeah.
And so the Dow actually broke out above that mid-August swing high.
Yeah.
And it's the first index to do so. But when we look at the count here, it looks like we've got a leading diagonal for an A, then we've got a B, and then we've got a C. And if that's correct, then either a wave four would be done here, or it would be like a W, and then you have your ABC up for X, and then three more down, a little bit lower low. But I mean, even with that little bit lower low, that's nothing like what people are really expecting, right? Everybody, I was the guy that was talking for years there about let's get ready for this kind of super cycle top, but we get to this point where everything just kind of rolled over. There was no, in terms of Elliott wave, when you're talking about super cycles, you're talking about, like a fifth wave of a fifth wave of a fifth wave kind of thing. And that's the point at which equities actually usually get an overextended fifth wave. And that usually is just like a blow off top. But again, we just kind of see this rollover. And so that kind of made me concerned. As we were coming down, I'm thinking, man, we didn't get that. So is that top really in yet? And so now we look at like I said, the Dow here, and it looks like it wants to rally on up. So if we jump on over here to the E-minis for the S&P, excuse me, it's the same thing, but it hasn't broken out above that swing high up here, that mid-August swing high. Right now, you
Okay.
can see it's run up into the this is the monthly, weekly pivot, however you
Right.
want to look at it here, right?
Okay.
But the count is pretty similar. Again, coming down with the A, the B, and the C here. And then this would be a 1-2. So I would look for it to rally on up. And I mean, I'm looking, fifth wave up there, 5,600, potentially more than that, depending on how crazy it would kind of get if we're going to get that blow off top. So when I look at the way everybody's talking, there's a lot of confusion in the markets. Everybody, a lot of people want to say, oh, well, the Fed's been really clear about what they're doing. Well, the Fed's always clear about what it's doing. It just rarely ever finishes out, right?
Yeah.
Because, the Fed's always just following and reactionary. So, I don't think there's always that chance that, it could be some kind of extended multi-year kind of rally. But for the time being, I think we look at some sort of blow off top coming, which would mean that everybody that's waiting for it to crash is going to get hurt one more time. And then it comes down.
Okay. Your the way you have it labeled kind of takes us into the fall, right?
Yeah. So
The
the
week to
timing,
complete that.
I'm definitely not a timing person.
Yeah.
But just it would be my expectation would be that if we were going to have a blow off top, it would happen in this year. And then just based on the height of wave four right here, I mean, that would give us a minimum target. Let me see here. Is that what I got on there? Yeah, it's what I got on here. It's this kind of 5,600. But, if we're going to blow off top there, I mean, we could potentially get up here around 7,100 almost, something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of just get people all frantic and crazy and excited, and then all of a sudden just kind of crash hard on them if it does, if it does that kind of movement. So, but we still need to get above that again, this mid-August swing high up here. And that's right there at 43.27.5. So, until we do that, the bias is still going to be to the downside overall. But, once we do that, it does kind of really increase the odds that we are likely just doing some kind of correction here.
So a next wave, say we go to 4,300, next wave would just take out that 3,450 by about 400 handles or so, a couple hundred handles to complete down there.
Yeah. Again, we'd probably be just looking right around this kind of, this just above it here, potentially as high as the R1 pivot here on the weekly. And then we would expect to see a breakdown. So, visually for anybody who watches, if we rally up to that R1 area and then we break back down below the pivot, the odds are that we're going to go down. And so we'd look for 3 waves down because this seems pretty clearly 3 waves here. And so, but yeah, again, that would just be 3 waves down and then, that would be the end. And then we go up from there. So I don't see 5 waves coming down off this once we break up above this swing here.
Okay. Have you reassessed silver and gold?
Yeah, man, crazy, right? So let me see here. I think we got gold here anyway. Yeah. So, again, I was looking at that idea from back here around 2018 that we get this rally up here, went a little bit higher, which was fine. But then I was looking for that pullback, down this low here as some sort of flat. But, this structure that we got coming off the all-time high down here to the recent lows down here in November. To me, it looks like what I've got here is it looks like just like a flat correction for like a wave 4. Yeah. And, so I'm looking at us continuing to rally up probably to around 2750. That's just, projected target based on what we're looking at here. So generally, let me just say this real quick. So when we're getting a rally, when you're sliding in between like the pivot and the S1 pivot, you slide in sideways. Mm-hmm. Usually what you're going to do is rally up to the R1, pull back to the pivot and rally up. In terms of Elliott wave, that move off that where it slides in between them up to R1 becomes just wave 1. It's usually 5 waves up. And then you get 3 waves back to the pivot, which is most often a 50% pullback. And so that's how I actually get this projection up here for this 5th wave.
All right. So where's the pivot? 1,800?
Yeah, this pivot right here is right there around, let's see here. Yeah, about 18.5 almost.
Okay, 1850.
Yeah. And you can just see this really strong move coming up off the swing low down here.
Same thing in silver, higher numbers coming.
Yeah, I don't think I actually updated that chart. Let me see here. Let me pull it up here real quick, but we can work with it anyway. Yeah, so I've still got this rally coming up off the swing low here.
Not as bullish as gold.
4th or 3rd. I'm sorry?
Not as bullish as gold.
Actually, let me kind of zoom out here a bit. Yeah, there's a completely different structure, of course, with silver here. But yeah, if this is the swing low here, again, here we are above the weekly pivot, right? For me,
right.
Especially coming into this year with these new pivots, I think if you're below it, no matter what you're looking at, the weekly pivot, if you can get a nice break and a close above it, I think you watch for that R1. If you get that R1, I think most likely you're going to run the pivots. So run them all the way through R5. And so right now with silver, we've come in sideways. We've found support here on the pivot. You can see this weekly's printing this nice little doji over here.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, and so that suggests that we're probably headed up higher. And so if I'm looking at this, probably like a 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll probably get a 5 up here or something, or this is a 3 of 3, a 4. And so, but again, the same idea is that we move up here toward the R1 pivot, pull back to the pivot and move off. And, that'll carry us then above that swing high over here and kind of cement that idea we're probably headed up further on that.
Okay. Anything on WTI?
Let me see here. Oil, what do I got over here?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So oil, man, so again, I was, again, the guy I'm saying, okay, I think we've topped out up here, and I've been saying that forever and a day now. But I'm really watching what's going on right here. You can see it's this area of support. You've got this cluster right here. And so then, last week you get this almost this dragonfly doji almost here. And you've got another doji right now for this week. I mean, this suggests we're going to rally up. So my first thought is, okay, let's watch the pivot. If we get rejected pivot and come on down, well, then we're looking at least right here to, the S1 pivot on the weekly, the monthly, right around 56, 57. Okay. But if we break that again, the idea is we're going to rally to the R1, and then it's going to be, a 1, 2, and kind of continue pushing on up there. And so, looking here at the weekly, it is what it is. But if we get that, the idea is this would be like everything else, a 3 and a 4.
So we had a bunch of 4s. We had a bunch of 4s terminating this last year.
Yeah, exactly.
S&Ps, gold, silver, and maybe energy.
Yeah, and it all kind of works in, with the dollar continuing to decline there. So, I mean, if we can get this move up toward that R1 pivot, I mean, I think we rally at least to 167 here. And then so people are like, okay, well, so what does that mean? How can that happen? The economy is doing so bad, blah, blah, blah. But, most of this data that we get's all lagging, right? It's all, this is what has happened, not what's happening at the moment. And so I think, when we try to adjust for that in our heads, and again, if this is going to be some crazy finishing blow off top, of course, things are going to look kind of wonky in the market,
Right.
The last time we had that super cycle top was in 1929, right before the Great Depression.
Before you were born.
Yeah, before I was born. Before you were born there too, right?
Yeah, even me. Yeah.
So I mean,
okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it can get pretty crazy. Things will happen over here that won't make sense. But the old adage, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right?
Right.
So for me, it's all about, hey, if we've got new information coming in, I'm more than willing to pivot. I want to, I'd rather make money than be right. So we just kind of go with it and say, okay, well, what's the narrative if this does happen? And then I kind of back into a macro narrative from there. I don't do it the other way around, because the other way is there's too many moving parts, right? Everybody comes on, everybody's got an idea of what the Fed's going to do or what the economy's doing or what's going to happen. And so many people are rarely right? Most everybody's wrong. So I think it's easier, if you understand the charts, to work with the charts and then back into a macro narrative that way.
Any feel for yields or the bond market? Was that, that bottom that we had in like TLT or the 30-year or the 10-year? You have a view on yields?
Man, so yes, man, you see, I come on these odd times of the year, man, where things don't exactly change, where they're kind of, questionable. So, I've got TLT with these 5 waves up here. This is the monthly chart here, back up here in March of 2020. So when we had that big drop with everything.
What a crash. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to be nice,
Yeah.
But, and I've been looking at this as maybe, this is complete and we're going to rally up. But again, we come up to that weekly, monthly pivot area here. We've got that gap. So, maybe we fill that in. But, again, as far as, this goes here, if we've got just wave 1 down, then, we're just looking at, again, at the weekly pivot just above it here, potentially for a rejection and setting back down. I don't think there's a lot of clarity at the moment.
Okay. That's cool. It's great to say that. So I've got
this as a 1-2 right now, but it's probably closer to, getting 5 up here. To get this. So, but then it would just be 3 back and we get 5 more up, right?
Okay.
So, I think that wave 1 kind of pulls over here to the pivot. I think everything with all of these things, I think the way you look at it, if you're looking for a little bit longer term, is you just watch that weekly pivot and you see if you're below it, does price get rejected at it? Or if you're above it, does it support it? And I think that tells you all you need to know for probably the next year, at least, with anything you're looking at.
And Bitcoin's bottomed in your work?
Bitcoin. Yeah, man. So Bitcoin's been doing great. I've shown multiple different charts. I've shared them online and everything. And, it's done exactly what we've been looking for. Again, I've been talking about this being a bottoming pattern here since that June low. And then this is that capitulate. We had the capitulation, depending on what was going on, right? Three Arrows Capital and all that nonsense.
Yes.
And then into, Voyager et al. And then, of course, Sam Bankman-Fried and his nonsense right here.
Yeah.
And so, trying to explain this as a bottoming process is it's difficult for people who don't understand it, but it does look like it. And we've hit the targets we've been looking at. We've got another target up here, probably closer to 25,000 that we're still looking to get. Now, whether it follows this exactly, I've actually got a different count that zooms in. This is the BLX chart. But it looks like we actually maybe, still have wave 3 here to finish out. And then we've got wave 5 potentially up there a bit higher toward the 26. And the thing is, again, with Bitcoin here, there's a lot of similarity between what we've got going on here
and the dollar.
Well, I was going to say what we had going on back over here in 2018, the bear market low.
Oh, okay.
And so, people, it does this thing where you have this long sideways. So we had it right here back in 2017, and then a little bit down here. But what it does is remove so much supply from the loose hands all in through here that there's nothing really to come in and impede movement on the way up. So then you get this strong rally, sideways kind of consolidation pushing upward, and then another strong rally and the same thing. And people sit here and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna wait for a pullback, wait for a pullback, but they never really get the pullback they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good chance we might see that over here as we rally up into, into the 30s and, eventually into the 40s here heading up. But again, this would be the same thing as everything else, right? We get that big rally up into, with Bitcoin, probably 100 or, if it's going to be some sort of blow off top, you could hit 150 or 170 and, before you get this drop. And so people that aren't used to trading Bitcoin will be, like, oh no, that ain't going to happen. That can't happen. But, if we look back over here in 2017, the rally up here, if you're looking from that October, well, this is the September swing low here, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking here, or this November, I'm sorry. And so you got this rally from November, so basically about a month and a half, where we did, 250%.
Yeah.
So, again, the idea that we can't do something like that, I hate when people say that the market has to do something. Only has to do whatever it's going to do, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, okay. So I mean, everything's going up there. Fed's, I think the Fed does a 25 basis point rate hike. That's what I've been talking about for a while now. I don't see that it has any reason not to. With all the data coming in, the only thing it's got really going for it at the moment, I don't know, really unemployment, right? But unemployment's been on that steady decline from that 760,000 post there back midway through last year, and it's been on a downtrend ever since, and it keeps getting adjusted down every month. I don't see anything really kind of giving the Fed a lot of strength to continue. Well, definitely not to continue being aggressive, but really to continue much at all as far as those interest rate hikes go. And again, markets are forward looking. I think they're probably factoring that in already, and so I think that if you're running with that, you're kind of long, right? I mean, you're long
the world,
long equities and Bitcoin and everything else, right?
Yeah, long the world. With the dollar bad, everything's good.
Until it's not anymore, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris. Great. Yeah, you want to wrap it with anything? You've already given us so many pearls. I could string a necklace.
Yeah, man. Again, I think it just all runs back to that that dollar narrative, right? And what's going on with that. And I think again, here with the dollar, let's jump up here to the weekly. I think as long as I'm really looking at this wick right here. This is the wick on the week of the first week of January there, January 2nd.
Yeah.
I would expect anything here to kind of hit it and continue down lower. I mean, I'm looking down toward the S1 right now, which is almost the 94 area.
Okay.
My count is I've got this running from here at the moment. It says we had this move down to a 1 and a 2. And so, that would, if that's correct, that gives us a 3 down here at about 87.
Wow.
So, the question is the dollar done? Was this the high, or, is this going to be an ABC rather than 5 down? For right now, I think either way, I think all you know is it's heading down lower, and then we kind of reassess as it continues moving. But I just don't see anything happening at the moment, especially with the Fed slowing down interest rate hikes.
Yeah.
And
all right, Chris. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, again, they did QT there. I think, it maybe gets to the point where, again, the Fed overreacts. That they wait and wait and wait. They wait too long and then they overreact. So, I mean, with that historical thing in mind, I mean, I could see them actually turning back on the press at some point. And, if they're doing that, of course, the dollar itself is going to just continue to decline. So I don't see a lot of positive narratives right now for the dollar. So, yeah. I think we head lower for now.
The only positive is that everyone's negative.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not always enough, is it?
Right.
I mean, you can't find a dollar bull anywhere.
Right, so, exactly. It's hard. Well, I don't know. There's a few out there on Twitter.
Yeah, there always are.
Yeah, but
like me, right now, even me from time to time looking for reactions. Yep. So yeah, again, Chris, great call on the dollar. Your work's elite. I appreciate you coming in here and sharing your, great technical work.
I appreciate it, Dale.
Yeah, you're one of the best, man.
Thank you, sir.
Christopher Inks, my trading warrior brother. And Chris, best way for people to follow you, get a hold of you.
So most of what we do, most of the stuff I post is there on Twitter at TX West Capital. But you can follow me on YouTube at Texas West Capital, and we're trying to pump up those other media sites. So Instagram, Texas West Capital, things like that. You can follow us our website at howtotradetowin.com. You can see us there as well.
All right. So follow him somewhere.
There you go.
Because he's only here every 3-4 months. So that's right. Fill in the gap, right?
I appreciate it, man.
Fill the gap. All right, Chris. Thanks so much, man. Rooting for you all the time, bro.
Thanks, Dale. Take care, bud.
All right. That's a wrap, everyone. And you could join the team in 20 minutes on the Morning Edge. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. You're very welcome, guys. People are thanking you, Chris.
Appreciate them.
All right.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.